everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for the best TV shows that I watched in 2021. So in previous videos like this that I will link down below that I have done, I have talked about my favourite TV shows and my favourite adaptations from book into movie or TV show or something like that for that year. This year, however, I'm only going to talk about my 5 favourite TV shows that I watched in 2021. The reason for that is because I don't feel like I've watched many adaptations that I haven't watched before or that I could talk about as I read this book and then I've seen this adaptation. So we're going to go with TV shows. Now, having said that about adaptations, having read the book and everything, one of my favourite TV shows that I watched this year was Shadow and Bone, and it is based on Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I have read Shadow and Bone, but because I don't have any other adaptations that I want to talk about in the other way, I'm just going to stick this into one of my favourite TV shows that I watched this year. But also because I really did prefer the TV show to the book, which doesn't happen very often. So I just felt like it made more sense rather than coming up with a list of things for the sake of it. It just made more sense to talk about it all together. So one of my favourite TV shows that I watched this year was Shadow and Bone. Like I said, this is based on the novel by the same name by Leigh Bardugo. The novel is a first book in a trilogy. It is young adult and it is set in a magical land, and in that magical land there are people called Grisha, and the Grisha are basically the magic wielders. For reasons, there is a massive kind of swathe of land that basically separates one part of a country to another from another part of the country that has been magically altered, and now it's incredibly dangerous. It's essentially like a dark, it's called the Shadow Fold. There's just sort of shadow over it, and now nothing grows there, and there's horrible scary creatures. We follow a young woman called Alina, and Alina discovers that some stuff about herself that she didn't know, and that maybe she can potentially fight this situation, fight these creatures, fight this shadow and solve the problem. In a nutshell, that is what Shadow and Bone is about. Obviously there's more to it than that, there's more going on, but that's essentially the storyline. Trying not to give spoilers here. I haven't read the rest of the trilogy. Didn't love the book. It was fine, but I just kind of didn't love it enough to feel like I wanted to continue with the trilogy, given that I know that there's going to be more seasons of the TV series, and I'm more than happy to watch that. The other thing about the series that I really appreciated that wasn't in the book is that they actually kind of amalgamated a bunch of different storylines from some of the other books that take place in the same world, and some of the characters were a bunch of thieves called the Crows, and those are characters from another book called Six of Crows, and I actually really like those characters. They were my favourite characters. So I'm definitely going to read that book, Six of Crows, and the second book in that duology that's set in the world at some point. But yeah, Shadow and Bone remains to be one of my favourite TV shows of the year, but unfortunately a bit of a miss for me in terms of the book. Anyway, the next TV show that I want to talk to you about that is probably my favourite of the year, I think. I mean, I'm watching the new season of it now, so it's definitely most fresh in my mind, but yeah, I think it's probably one of my favourites, certainly up there, which is why it's in this list, and that is The Witcher. So this is another one that is actually based on a series of books. Although, having said that, there's a series of books, and then there's a series of video games, and then I don't know if the TV show is based more on the books or on the video games. But either way, I've not read or played, so I only can base my opinion on the TV show. As I said, I'm currently watching season 2, really, really enjoying it. I really enjoyed the first one. It's quite dark and gritty, and I just really, really enjoy it. So we follow, I should say, Geralt of Rivia, who is a witcher, and witches are monster hunters, essentially. They've been magically altered, so they are very powerful and can fight monsters, and Geralt is one of those. So in the first series, we follow him as he goes around the place fighting monsters. But we also follow other characters, and there's more going on than just Geralt. So there's a lot of story of the politics of the world. We follow a young girl as well, and there's a whole bigger storyline going on, and we follow some of that, but it's more probably following Geralt and his kind of exploits and getting to know him sort of thing. And then the second season, like I said, we're watching it currently. It's a bit more expanded, it's a bit more about the world, although we're still following Geralt, but there's more to do with sort of the overarching plot lines of what's going on in the world and the political machinations and etc. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, I think it's incredibly well shot. Cinematography is beautiful. The acting is great. The storyline's fantastic. Just, yeah, I really, really enjoy the series. So the next series that I really, really enjoyed this year, that I watched for the first time this year, I should say, if I didn't say before, these are all TV shows I've watched for the first time this year, so I've definitely rewatched things that I really loved, but I'm not counting them because otherwise I'd probably count them every year. Anyway, the next series was Young Sheldon. So this is a series that is a kind of spin-off of The Big Bang Theory. In The Big Bang Theory, we have Sheldon Cooper, who is... It's never specifically stated that Sheldon Cooper is on the autism spectrum or anything like that. They don't say that he has a neurodivergency of any particular description, but it's always implied. And young Sheldon follows him as a young boy. So he was very gifted as a young boy, and growing up in the 70s in Texas, is it 80s? I think 80s. In Texas, with a young child who is very gifted but also potentially on the autism spectrum, was quite difficult for him and his family. So I think it's done really, really well. I think the actors are fantastic, and I do think it's done really well. I think it's done very respectfully, and it's funny, but it doesn't resort to the kind of humour that, unfortunately, although I like Big Bang Theory, is quite prevalent in that, where it's kind of poking fun at people for the sort of thing that they can't really control, like whether they have a neurodivergency, and find social situations difficult, whereas they don't do that in Young Sheldon, but they manage to be comedic within that situation. So I think that's incredibly well done, and I did really, really enjoy it. I am not an Own Voices reviewer, so obviously take my opinion with a grain of salt, but that is my opinion for what it's worth. Next up is Superstore. This is a series that I honestly didn't really expect to love as much as I did. I thought that I'd have a bit of fun with it. It seemed sort of like a fun, silly thing, but yeah, I really didn't necessarily expect to absolutely love it, but I really did. I thought it was really well done. It was really genuinely funny. There was some really interesting social... What's the word I'm looking for? Criticism. And yeah, I just thought it was really, really well done. So it's about a bunch of people that work in a department store, kind of like Walmart's, or I expect kind of like Walmart's. I've never actually been to a Walmart, but that sort of thing. And yeah, it's about their working life and a little bit about their personal lives and their interactions with each other, but a lot of it is actually about their working life and about the situation for people with those sort of lower socioeconomic jobs in America, and I thought it was really, really good. And like I said, they managed to be really funny without being disrespectful, and at the same time making some really interesting social commentary. So really great show, I thought. The final TV show that I watched for the first time this year that I really enjoyed was Inside Job. So this one is sort of a flip of Superstore. So rather than discussing America through the lens, or Western society in general, through the lens of sort of normal life, it imagines that all of those ridiculous conspiracy theories are accurate, and that there is in fact a giant organization controlling all of the things that people say that they're controlling, and you know that mole men exist, and that there are all these forces at work, the deep state, all this sort of stuff. And it's really, really, really funny. So the organization is called Incognito Inc., because they're incognito. And yeah, it's just about some of the characters that work there and about all the silly, wacky things that they get up to. And I just thought it was really funny and really fun, and yeah, really enjoyed it. So that's it. Those are the 5 TV shows that I watched for the first time this year that I really enjoyed. I mean, it's not to say that I haven't watched other things that I haven't enjoyed, but like I said, I feel like I've done a lot of re-watching this year. Even movies, I've done a lot of re-watching this year. So yeah, I've just got 5 TV shows to talk to you about today. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen any of these TV shows, what you thought of them, what are your favourite TV shows that you watched for the first time in 2021. I'd love to know that as well. Or if you have any other comments that you'd like to leave down below, please do so. If you'd like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me some kind of television emoji because we're talking about television. All of my social media details are listed in the description below, so if you'd like to go and follow me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.